Welcome back to 7th Grade Mustache. On today's episode, we'll be speaking about tomorrow people. Consider what your life would be like if you could lift the veil and see well beyond your 5-sense reality. Nikola Tesla once said, "To understand the universe, think of it as energy, frequency, and vibration." Astronomers have uncovered a supermassive black hole that has been propelled out of the center of a distant galaxy by what could be the awesome power of gravitational waves. Though there have been several similar black holes elsewhere, none have been confirmed so far. Astronomers think this object, which was detected by NASA's Hubble telescope, is a very strong case. Weighing more than 1 billion suns, the rogue black hole is the most massive black hole ever detected, and also the most massive black hole to be kicked out of its central home. Researchers estimate that it took the equivalent energy of 100 million supernovas exploding simultaneously to jettison the black hole. The most plausible explanation for this propulsive energy is that the monster object was given a kick by gravitational waves unleashed by the merger of two hefty black holes at the center of the host galaxy. In the announcement of the week of January 19, 2021, at the 237th meeting of American Astronomical Society, scientists from the Sloan Digital Sky Survey presented the most detailed look at the warp of our own galaxy. Imagine that you're in the stands at a football game and the crowd starts doing the wave. All you do is stand up and sit down. But the effect is that the wave goes all the way around the stadium. It's the same with the galactic warp. Stars only move up and down, but the wave travels all the way around the galaxy. Astronomers have known for decades that many spiral galaxies actually have disks with a slight twist to them, like a potato chip or a vinyl record that's left out too long in the sun. Such twists occur in about 50 to 70% of spiral galaxies, including our own Milky Way. Now, anyone with an open third eye fully understands that this life has 3 parts of existence: physical, mental, and spiritual. Right now, there is an enormous infusion of higher dimensional energy, a galactic superwave, a cosmic dust wave that is dramatically raising the vibratory rate of our planet and everyone on it. The precession of the equinoxes is directly influencing the Earth's awakening and how the dance between the forces of darkness and the forces of light actually allows consciousness to evolve. In astronomy, the ecliptic is a great circle annual path of the sun in the celestial sphere as it is seen from the earth. Think of it as the projection of objects in space into their apparent positions in the sky as viewed from the earth. The plane of the path, called the plane of the ecliptic, which is intersecting the celestial equator at an angle of 23.5 degrees. Remember that, 23.5 degrees. You will hear this anytime there is a discussion about hyperdimensional physics. This angle is known as the obliquity of the ecliptic and is approximately constant over a period of 1 million years. The 2 points at which the ecliptic intersects the celestial equator are called nodes or equinoxes. The sun is at the vernal equinox about March 21st, the autumn equinox around September 23rd. So it's very similar. So when you think of the cosmos, there's the microcosm and the macrocosm. They mirror each other. What you see under a microscope is actually happening outside in the galaxy, which is happening inside your body, which is happening into large earthly or heavenly bodies. Now, the equinoxes do not occur at the same points of the ecliptic every year, for the plane of the ecliptic and the plane of the equator revolve in opposite directions respectively. The 2 planes make a complete revolution with respect to each other once every 25,868 years. This movement of equinoxes along the ecliptic is called the precession of the equinoxes. These astronomical changes will affect life on Earth on spiritual and psychological levels. The precession is from the 3rd to the 4th density of reality. I'll say it again if you missed it. The precession is from the 3rd to the 4th density of reality. The Bible calls this the quickening of the spirit. This cosmic dust wave has already penetrated the Earth's atmosphere to awaken reality that the inhabitants of Earth have been deceived and lied to in most every way possible. This is perceived as the first step in the necessary progression in spiritual growth that will soon culminate with a dramatic raising of the planet's vibratory rate that will allow the planet and its inhabitants to move out of the darkness and into the light. With the lifting of the veils, humans will remember and live their intimate connection to all life. They will completely redefine what it means to be human. It is the movement from the polarized mind, which is a continual state of judgment and does not connect the dots to see the wholeness, to the oneness, which is connected to the source and only knows unity. So what you have going on is, while everybody down here on Earth is bickering about all these psyops that have been created to keep our attention on our feet and not in the skies, it gaslights you into living a truncated existence, a warped, mutated existence, and you are a shadow of your true self, of your true potential. But this galactic wave that is coming through our solar system that has a physical aspect and a spiritual, energetic, etheric aspect will come through and affect us. Now, what's crazy about this is now it makes sense why they are pushing so hard and locking down so hard to control everybody. Why they want to chip and control everybody and get everybody hooked on downloading your brain into a computer so that you can have an altered carbon existence. That's what this is. It's why these people pushing so hard all of a sudden. Because if you think about it, there's been oppression and there's been control. And then all of a sudden, like, they want to know everything about you. They want to control. They want to get to know you from the inside out instead of the other way around. But something came out recently that kind of made me think about something. So this guy who's like an official UFO spokesperson for the United States government, Luis Elizondo, this guy is former intelligence agency, former military special forces, was around UFOs. This week, he came out with a statement and he said some of these UFOs are demonic. Now, Jacques Vallée, the French scientist who helped to develop video conferencing, the technology behind video conferencing, has been involved in this for the longest time. He is the inspiration for the French scientists in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Now, Jacques Vallée was recently at this Senate hearing, this closed-door Senate hearing with the United States government, and he asked them, he says, you guys want to release this stuff drip by drip, little by little. And he said, but there's no talk about how people are being abducted. He said, well, if we released all this stuff at one time, it would have a bad effect. I said, dude, the cat's out the bag. These people are talking about they're abducted. That shit has been going on for 80 years, 100 years now.
But they said one of the presidents made a deal with them, literally for people,
Yes.
people for technology.
At Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Again, I ain't met nobody, but I've read this stuff. We read these articles, there's TV shows, but they're saying that there was a deal made years ago. Going back to what you're saying about the control part, don't miss the obvious shit. Like, they don't want you traveling. Why is that so important? Because when you travel, you gain enlightenment. When you go see certain monuments, when I say monuments,
hold it. Before you get all crunchy granola, here's the deal. You also get perspective from talking to other people in other parts of the world. And when it comes to find out that they're all seeing the same thing that you're seeing, then there's a different angle. Then there is a consensus. So then you don't want this planetary consensus. The only kind of consensus that they want is that, oh, this is a nice app. Oh, I like my brain chip. Oh, I like having my carbon credits. I like having no ability to travel. I like being gaslit.
I virtually went to Italy. I could taste the food virtually. You lying motherfucker. And that's the whole thing is they want to convince you that these experiences are better than reality. And they want to convince you that what happens if you go to the Grand Canyon and you find a sacred site? What happens if you go to Tibet and climb a mountain and you get enlightened and all of a sudden...
It ain't even that, man. Like, when I first went to Europe, man, and I went to the market and I bought some apples and I took a bite out of that apple, dude, it was like biting sunshine. It was insane. You could tell there was no. There was no pesticides. There was no artificial fertilizers. This shit was the real deal. Oh, this is what fucking Roman centurions used to fucking eat.
They were using cow shit. That's real fertilizer. But that's the whole thing, is that they're convincing us that we need them.
And then, let me tell you what else, man. If you control people's traveling, their movement, they won't have profound experiences. What you're doing is you're limiting the amount of profound experiences, and the human condition shrivels. Dude, I had a profound experience when I went overseas. Profound. Like, one of the things that happened, I'm not going to even repeat right now, but I've told you about it before.
Yeah.
And it was some life-changing shit. Positive, 100% positive. But it's hard to get that when you're a townie. Bro, they're trying to make everybody into a townie where you don't ever leave barely your city. You know what I'm saying? You're not even leaving your part of town. Because, okay,
nope.
If you're talking about 15 minutes and people...
A 15-minute city, yes.
If you want to put people in the 15-minute cities, dude, I'll never see the other side of town again. That shit's insane. That's not workable.
There are comic book stores. There are experiences in my own town that I enjoy. I can't.
What
do
if
that?
you grew up on the other side of town? What if all your families on the other side of town?
You only get to see them on Thanksgiving. That's it.
No, fuck all that, dude. But it totally makes sense why they want to lock everybody down. Because they know this shit's coming. They know that what's crazy is that there's all these things that are happening to us that God is throwing at us to wake us up, with the Yuga cycle and the procession of the Kali Yuga and the Yuga cycles of consciousness, and what they call the age of Aquarius. You're moving into that, and not only that, there's this fucking warped vinyl record potato chip movement of our galaxy.
Solar system.
No, not our solar system. Our galaxy.
Galaxy.
On some Star Wars shit. Our galaxy is doing the wave, and it's doing this wave, which is like it's throwing black holes like they're fucking golf balls. Just throwing them shits. Like, bitch, get out of here. Like, what the fuck? Bro, that's God.
Look, gravity is altering shit all around us, having a profound effect. But like I said, if you can't sometimes you need to change your perspective. Sometimes you need to fly up in an airplane, look down at the ground, and realize, oh wow, like you kind of got to see shit from a distance to realize, like, oh man, this is amazing, this is that, and then you're changed. Then you change your behavior. Then you don't care about money anymore. Then that kind of shit.
So what's crazy is that while all this is going on, people are born, people are dying. And there's different changes in generation to generation. So indigo children are children who are believed to possess special, unusual, and even supernatural traits or abilities. Indigos were born from 1975 to 1995 and have masculine energy with warrior traits of willfulness and natural leadership. They are often sensitive to chemicals, including their own body chemistry. Because of their own anger and angst, they need outlets for their great energy and often result in ADHD diagnosis. As a group, they hope to rid the planet of corruption and greed and usher in integrity and cooperation. Now, those types of people were born toward the end of Generation X and the beginning of Generation Y. Generation Y are people born between 1981 and 1991. Whereas Generation Z was born between 1991 and 2001. Gen Z seems to be connected to fear and tragedy at school. One key component of their life is that they all have been affected by the 1999 mass shooting at Columbine High School. These students' school experiences have not only included annual tornado and fire drills, but also intruder drills as well. Yet, Generation X was born with gang violence of the inner city, poverty, prison, industrial complex, and government-funded drug maze. So, whenever people always talk about how, oh, these kids nowadays, they have school shooters. Motherfucker, they were shooting outside the school when I was going to junior high school and high school.
Weekly.
Man, that was a
Every week.
normal thing. There was this chick that Duct Tape went to school with. That was she was the daughter of one of the coaches, and she was just chilling, just minding her fucking business with her homegirls at this chicken place called Timeout on 30th Street in Omaha, on the black side of town, on the north side, and a motherfucker started shooting, and I think she fucking like dove, like, to take cover, and the car took off.
She got hit in the head.
Yeah, she got hit and then ran over, and she got drugged for like how far? Like blocks and blocks?
I don't know what the detail was, but she recovered. I mean...
Yeah, but they said she got drugged for blocks, though.
Look, the point we're making is that these kids are going nuts over a Columbine shooting. They had mass media coverage of this. But literally in the black neighborhood, we were dealing with shootings weekly. Well, I got a homegirl that shot in the ankle at a party that me and you were supposed to go to.
Dude, no. I was at a party where people were fucking shooting and waving guns. I was in the fucking DJ booth, and the motherfucker was pointing a shotgun up at me while I'm in the fucking DJ booth. Dude, listen, these are all stories, you know what I'm saying, of like life in the hood and shit, but people talk about, oh, these kids got it bad. Motherfucker, it's been bad. It's been bad. It's just now it's inside the school as opposed to outside the school.
Slow down. There's a conversation that we were having off the air. I just haven't got to this part yet, where literally people are too busy coddling their children that when they become adults, they're not adults. They're just bigger versions of their children. See, the thing was, when your parents raised you, and my mother raised me, and my uncle and my aunts and my grandmother and everybody else, they were raising me to be an adult, to at some point in time not depend on them. And whatever situation I got into, I had to learn how to either cope with it, deal with it, or get out of it on my own. But these kids nowadays, that's not how they raise them. And we were just talking about this whole guilt thing. Like, literally, I remember dating a chick that she bought her son Jordans because she didn't want him to be teased. I'm like, so what? You better fight back. Better, tease him back, or, learn how to play the dozens or whatever. Like, I don't want my child going through that. One of my exes, I was arguing with her about my daughter, light skin and good hair. She's going to encounter certain things. Well, that's not the kind of world I wanted to live in. So you want to change the world? I can't change the world, but I can make my daughter strong. I can buy her a stun gun. I can teach her how to fight. I can teach her how to cope.
Or teach her how to talk shit. Or teach her how to look at people and break them down.
I make fun of my kids all the time.
No. This is what I tell them. I said, listen. I said, when you out there, you got to be ruthless with your insults. I said, you want to look at a person and find their weak spots. Find their weak spots. Find their weak spots and just attack and just keep going in and keep talking about that. Like how you got ashy ankles. You got crazy teeth.
Your teeth.
You know what I'm saying? You cross-eyed, whatever. You got twigs in your hair all the time. Talk about all that stuff. Draw attention to everything that's obvious about that person.
Them the people we like, though. And see, that's why we weren't suicidal. Because we dealt with embarrassment. We dealt with pressure. We dealt with the shit. And the thing was, like, hey, that's just part of growing up. So you knew that, okay, that at some point in time, this will end. And it's not going to end because I killed myself. It's not going to end because I've matured and the people I'm around have matured, and we no longer worry about
this. This is what you got to understand, though. Like, it was roast factory every day from kindergarten all the way until graduating high school. It never stopped.
I stuttered and talked fast. So I was called Martian. I was called this. I was called that. And I talk shit back. I got a funny first name. So, I was called Latex and Tampax and and then you hit the motherfucker back with, oh, okay, cool.
But once you start roasting them back, they're like, oh, this dude got skills, or he ain't going back down.
You earned respect. You earned, they knew, like, I could fuck with you, but was it worth it? And then also, I didn't get mad. I didn't cry. None of that shit. None of that shit we did. Like, I think that sometimes one of the problems I had with my youngest daughter, my second youngest daughter, was she would read these books, and anything she read or any movie she saw, she thought it like applied to her. I'm like, some of those situations do apply with you. apply to you. Or she had a counselor at Central, and I'm like, look, unless you're going to give my daughter coping skills, we're not about to sit here and just need a counselor for the rest of her life. That's not how I'm raising her. Now, if you want to point some stuff out and you want to say, like, hey, this is what you deal with as you're growing up, cool. But if you're going to sit here, what about next week's session? Fuck that. You get 3 or 4 of these, and that's it. That's not how I'm raising. And so,
Sessions.
people, you understand what I'm saying, that they're that's what you have family for. And I get that not everybody has the same family dynamic. So but I could talk to your family if I needed to. You could talk to my mom if you needed to. You could talk to my uncle if you needed to. And sometimes you would have to find that kind of outside your local, your immediate family, because there's some things that you need to get off your chest, and but you had a bigger brother, you had big sisters, you had people that you could confide in. And even then, like, if as your brother, I'm your brother too, but if I spot, I'm like, hey, you need to talk to your younger brother about this, and you're like, all right, man, thanks, And so what was happening is people believe that they're individuals, but not in a positive sense, because you do have individuality, but these people think they're isolated. And then when they're isolated, they get scared and they make bad decisions. And next thing you know, they want to commit suicide or shoot up a school because I want to be noticed. That kind of bullshit. Oh, yeah. And I'm going to shoot up a church because my girlfriend broke up with me and she's dating a nigger now. What the fuck? Come on, man. Get off that bullshit.
What?
And South Carolina with Dylan Roof, when he shot up that church, the reason he did it is because...
yeah. Okay, I got it.
Me and you had joked about this shit. I bet you there's some BBC, and come to find out, that's what it was. So that's the kind of shit. So I'm upset. That means everybody needs to be upset? No. I should learn how to get through it, work through it, and make myself a better, stronger person. We don't talk about being strong anymore.
Or and then like Dave Chappelle said, there's some brittle spirits out there.
These niggas is brittle as a motherfucker. And so we're talking about tomorrow people. We're trying to prepare people for the future, and we're avoiding look. One of the things you talked about earlier in the galaxy universe spiritual, that we have the same patterns on a microscopic level. We have these same patterns everywhere. So I get it. Maybe these white folks want to get spaceships and go into space. If you study an atom and you have the same angles and the same rotations, you could study something small and get the same effect and learn quite a bit just by observing small stuff. You don't need to jump into the big stuff all the time. Or on the flip side, sometimes you do need to see the planet from a distance, or sometimes you do need to recognize that shit. But the fact is that without communicating with each other, you ain't gonna realize that this cat got the same experience or a similar experience, or they sat there and like you said, Columbine is everything to these people. Hold up, which one was Connecticut and which one was Colorado? Which one?
Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook is the Northeast. Okay, yeah. And then Columbine is Colorado.
And so that shit was everything to them. You got the golf kids looking up to them. Like, hey man, they playing that shit for weeks. What kind of shit is that? That's why a lot of these people say don't put these people's names out there. Don't celebrate them. Just say, hey, suspect was arrested, this, that, and other. But the truth is, sometimes we get confused because we've been lied to so much. You don't know how to decipher. You don't know what the truth is. You don't even know what to eat. You don't know what's healthy. You don't know. We are told to separate religion and separation. No, religion, spirituality, spirit, all that stuff goes together. Science goes with religion, but that's not what we're taught. We're taught that this is fake and this is real and this is actual.
One day there's going to be a file on these school shooters. Now I'm talking about the guys in black fatigues with duffel bags of guns that are going to these schools to shoot kids up. One day that shit's going to come out and people are going to figure out who has been behind this shit the entire time.
Whole time. They're just too similar. Or how many of them are on antidepressants, and that's a problem. Remember they had the documentary about steroids, and the guy was visiting the father of a kid that committed suicide, and the father was blaming it on the steroids. but the kid was on antidepressants, and some antidepressants make you suicidal.
Hey,
And
do you need like a drink of water? Because you sound like Mike Tyson right now, dude. Like, you lispy as a motherfucker, dude. Like, what is
I
going on
don't
with
think
you?
so.
And then
I'm
antidepressants. And
hold on.
what the fuck?
I got it on speakerphone. What the fuck are you talking about? Um, it was one of these deals where people pick and choose which parts they want to talk about, and I get it. Steroids. We were taught that steroids are unsafe, but there's a lot of stuff saying that steroids aren't as bad as people say. Which I don't. That's your choice, decision, whatever. I'm not preaching that, but it was clear that this kid had other issues besides being on steroids. It was clear that this kid was on antidepressants. It's clear that there are people that report being on antidepressants and making you violent, having violent tendencies. You see that stuff in these mass shootings, in some of these school shootings. How many of these kids were adults too were on antidepressants, and people don't want to talk about that part because that is a side effect. Violence is a side effect of some antidepressants. But again, that's not the story. That is not the media what they're pushing. That is not the story. The story is gun control. The story is how come we don't have protection at the schools? We shouldn't need it. I agree, we shouldn't need it. But I don't think it's fair that you protect your bank. You got 5 or 6 security guards at a bank, but you ain't got no protection at the grade school. What's more precious, your dollars or your children?
So, people often wonder, how do they fit into this grand scheme? The fucked up part is, you are left to go out into the wilderness and figure out how to access your energy body. Nobody tells you this. Nobody teaches you this. You have to go and figure this shit out and figure out how to access your latent abilities. And you go through all these different disciplines and martial arts and philosophies from different countries that
Spirituality,
you don't
yeah.
grow up
Yes.
in or you don't live in. So I'm going to help you out. Here are some thought experiments to shift your consciousness toward higher frequencies. Visualize that you are traveling through space, through the solar system, through galaxies, here on Earth. So dissolve the walls that are around you and just see yourself on an Earth ship that is moving through space. For these processions and these equinox shifts and all this stuff, visualize that you are standing at the center of the universe. Take a moment to visualize an enormous body of energy. Now, shift your attention to experience the energy of this body of light. This is the energy of all source, the energy of the divine creator. Take a moment to feel the energy and emanate from the source. Notice that the energy is flowing through your whole body now. Visualize that you are taking one particle from the source energy and that you are bringing it with you and traveling back through the galaxies, through the solar system, back onto this earth plane and into your current physical space now. Visualize that this particle of light is now hovering above you, and that this particle of light is slowly coming down all the way and entering through the top of your head. Allow it to fill your entire head. Bring it down, let it go through your neck, through your throat, bring it down, let it fill your shoulders, arms, upper back, chest, lower back, stomach, thighs, down to your knees, down to your ankles, and to your feet. Let it come through the bottom of your feet, anchoring you down all the way into the earth. Visualize white, luminous roots growing out through the soles of your feet, down through the bottom of your house. If you're on the 3rd floor, visualize it going all the way to the 2nd, to the 1st, down past the sewers, down past the limestone, past the bedrock, down past the water table, down all the way into the center of the earth. Ground yourself into the earth. Now, visualize this particle of light coming up from the earth all the way through the bottom of your feet, through your ankles, up to your knees, up to your thighs, your lower back, upper back, arms, shoulders, neck, head, as in reverse in the way that it came down. Guide it out through the top of your head, connecting you all the way back to the source. Now, visualize that you are wrapped in a beam of light, connecting you all the way up to the source, all the way down to the earth. Simply bathe in this energy of divine light. Experience this energy of connection with the source. experience the energy of being merged with the divine creator. Now, imagine this. What would your life be like if you could live every moment as if you are your truest self? What if you woke up this morning feeling truly inspired and deeply connected to the divine creator? And throughout the day, things seemed to fall into place and solutions to problems almost appeared magically. I can tell you personally that many of my days, it felt as if everything was synchronistically happening. Now, people will tell you, oh, that's a simulation. Those are people who don't have faith. Those are people who are really not connected to the creator. So then they want to view life and reality with a judging analytical mind without any faith to balance that. So you can't have a judging analytical mind all the time and have no faith because you're out of balance. But people need to know about the ancient builder race and how they originated on Venus. They established a colony in Antarctica and then branched out to our neighboring star systems. This race had a huge impact on us. They were able to keep peace for over 2 billion years by creating a giant defensive grid around our local cluster of 52-star solar systems. They did this in a way that was both ingenious and extremely practical. Then about 500,000 years ago, Maldek, also known as Tiamat, a huge Earth-like planet in our solar system, and its habitable moon ended up getting infiltrated by negativity. They figured out how to turn the defense shield into an offensive weapon and went to war with one another, or went to war with another culture in our local cluster. It didn't turn out well for Maldek. They ended up destroying their planet, and it is now the asteroid belt between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. The results of all this have had an enormous impact here on Earth. That continues to affect us to this very day. We will carefully unpack the details. There is an important document called the Law of One that will enable us to take a detailed look at all of this. The first Law of One book was called The Raw Material by Ra, R-A, a humble messenger of the Law of One. But Ra is just a name for the sixth density extraterrestrial source. So Ra is actually the ancient builder race. We will be lifting veils in just about every way. So earlier there was a mention of a 2-tier technology system and how you can fully unpack, if not expose it. So rather than startling people with the details of the space program, our interaction with many different ET races, people can gain a clear understanding of what the history of our, not just our solar system, but what our galaxy is. See, nobody ever talks about the history of our galaxy. They want you concerned with empirical British Masonic science that has you thinking in a small box. Yet you get these people who get abducted by aliens all the time, and they talk about the praying mantis race, or the tall whites, or they talk about these people who are a combination of those two, and how these different races have been at war, but they share information. In the Betty and Barney Hill abduction story, Betty Hill, the white wife of a black man in the 50s, they were abducted, and she said when she went on the ship, she saw a map. And this praying mantis alien showed her where in this map the local solar system is in the galaxy. So people ask, well, is this real? And yeah, of course it's real. But there are references to ascension from at least 35 different civilizations that have been put in our religious myths. Prophecies of Jesus are consistent with that of 34 other cultures. The same prophecies as put forth by Jesus also appear in the Quran, the Old Testament, and in Native American spiritual tradition, and in Celtic and Druid traditions. The Hindu scriptures are very similar. They call them the Samvarta fire at the end of the age. They also call it the Yuga fire because it comes from the sun and causes rainbow colors in the sky. So you're probably listening to this right now saying, what the fuck is this guy talking about? What I'm talking about is information, knowledge that has been suppressed and kept from you on purpose. Because if you knew the true nature of our reality, of our galaxy, you would begin to question everything. Because then you wouldn't be concerned with Netflix and microwave TV dinners. You wouldn't be so easy to control. But when you hear about all these things about the master builder race and Maldak Tiamat and all this stuff that just sounds way the hell out, you have to take it with a grain of salt until you begin, as we always do on this show, is go and cross-reference it. Where can you find it? Don't take my word for this bullshit. Go and look these things up in at least 2 to 3 other instances. And you will see stories that corroborate what I'm talking about. Stories that are tens of thousands of years old. And then you wonder, well, why isn't there anything beyond, the Great Flood or the pyramids and the Sphinx and this and that? Because they keep it from you. Because the Smithsonian went out west when they were out there killing Indians in the Great Indian Wars, and they took all the cool shit that was in the Grand Canyon and they put it in boxes in little, rooms, and they locked it up. Mummies and giant skeletons and shit. All that stuff. But see, people think that everything just stops with, the Anunnaki and them. There's more to this galaxy, to this universe than just the Anunnaki. But everybody gets so hung up on that shit. Yeah, it's cool. It's very interesting, but it's not the only story. The same way you cannot get caught up in this whole Middle East thing. I was talking with a guy 2 days ago, and he is a IDF veteran, Israeli guy. And I asked him, what's up, man? How's it going? And because of his culture, he watched the news every day because he has family over there. He didn't want to enjoy himself too much because, Jewish guilt and you feel bad about enjoying yourself while other people are dying and there's shit going on. But his thing is, now he's walking around, he's walking around with a handgun. This wasn't a handgun guy before. This dude was somebody that was peace loving and this and that and the third. But now he's carrying a gun, in America. And I'm like, well, why are you carrying a gun? Are you concerned something's going to happen to you? And he's like, well, I just want my kids to be safe. I'm like, okay, is the daycare the truck stop? What the fuck are you worried about? Because he actually takes him to a Jewish daycare. I'm like, okay, well, do they have security there? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So what are you worried about, man? He said, well, I just want to go over there and I want to fight. Who are you going to go fight? I'm going to kill Hamas. I'm like, okay. That shit was created by the Israeli government. You know what I'm saying? But the problem is he's indoctrinated. He is, you cannot tell him nothing otherwise. It has to be this way. He's like, oh, Biden's too soft. I'm like, what does the United States government have to do with this? Why is it our problem? This is not the United States problem. This is your problem. You know what I'm saying? So it's just crazy that, when you talk to a person from there, been there, done in time, all that shit, you really see how dug in and entrenched some of these people are firsthand when you talk to these people. It's like, dude, you are drinking that Kool-Aid. You believe that is the way. And anything otherwise is fake news. And I'm like, my man, this is not fake news. You can go look your shit up. And you can see, he reaches a point where he doesn't want to listen anymore. I was like, this is the fucking problem. This is why you and your cousins and them have been fighting for 50,000 years. This bullshit right here.
But even with that, they know their prime minister is alive. They know Mossad plants evidence and does crazy shit. They know the ties to Epstein. He knows all that stuff. But, you know, they have a common enemy, and they do bad stuff to those people. It's not balanced. It's not equal. The response that they give to the Palestinians is not equal to what Israel has done. So that's a whole other conversation. Look, the problem is, like I said, that guy has his monster, and he has his white whale. He's Ahab, and they blame so much shit on those Palestinians that they don't have the technology or the ability to do that shit. Hamas was created by Netanyahu. It's sick. It's very sick.
That's the thing. Is like he'll listen up to a certain point. As soon as you realize that he's like you're about to fucking say that, listen, this bullshit is the government's fault. That's where he like reaches the point. It's like, no, but here's the thing. I was like, listen to me, man. Like, you listen up until a certain point, and then the point where you fucking like turn away from reason is the point where you're brainwashed.
What it is their mind is made up already before you even have the conversation. His mind's made up, and I'm going to arrive at this conclusion. He's already arrived at the conclusion. He's just trying to get there. That's like when cops arrest somebody and then they make the evidence fit. No, you're supposed to find the evidence and then find the killer or the robber or the whatever. It's not that we got a suspect. He was walking down the street. That's okay. Let's put evidence on his ass and go from there. That's backwards. And we've talked about this in past podcasts, where people pick the news that agrees with them. It's no longer Walter Cronkite giving you the information and you decide how you feel or what it means to you. No. I'm conservative, I'm watching this. I'm liberal, I'm watching this. And I'm going to find somebody who agrees with me. And that's what people are doing now. You can find the news that agrees with you. But what you should be looking for is the truth. We talked about people worshiping knowledge and worshiping Lucifer and all that bullshit. It's not bullshit, but what I'm saying is you have people that worship knowledge, but what you should be looking for is the truth. And once you get the truth, then you decide how you're going to respond to it.
Okay,
not
stop.
The other way around.
Go back in this conversation, and you were talking about how these people will work with the darkness to get power. And then this guy, yes, Luis Elizondo, came out and said, okay, some of these things are demonic, which means that the government knows this already. They just don't want to tell people about this shit. So then, if they are indeed in bed with darkness, man, that's not a good look. That's not a good look at all.
What they're actually saying is that we know for a fact that there are fallen angels. Here's where you were talking earlier, Roscoe, about putting shit together. Like literally,
right?
When you
see, but here's the thing, though. This reminds me of that thing that Bugs Bunny would do, where he'd be like, "Well, if you can't beat them, join them." But instead of Bugs Bunny, it's Hillary Clinton saying that shit and doing the fucking the Charleston fucking shuffle.
Yeah, so slow down. So they found her laptop with a bunch of emails. They found emails that talk about getting Nephilim DNA. You have special forces. So if she's looking for Nephilim DNA, this was a talk that me and you had.
It was the resurrection chamber of fucking Gilgamesh and the body of a Nephilim.
Related. Yeah, that's all related. All this stuff is related. But she was also talking about what they see. These different stories are intertwined. But the one story they were talking about was when those special forces dudes fought a giant over in the Middle East. And see, some people said that was the Nephilim DNA, because you got to remember the Nephilim were giants. So did she want that DNA, or did she want the DNA from the chamber, or is all this related? But slow down. You were saying some very deep shit earlier.
You talking, nigga? Slow down. You don't want to talk.
Yeah, no. Well, no, you have pointed something out, and I want to get back. I don't want to miss. You were making a point that so when this guy tells you it's demonic means fallen angels. So not only is that Nephilim, that giant, related, but that he's saying that they're still falling right now. If you're seeing a UFO and it's some light shit and the shit ain't adding up, some of that shit is government technology. Some of that shit is alien technology. But some of that shit it's some biblical shit that just fell down. Do you know recognize what you're looking at? And if you got a motherfucker telling you who knows technology, who knows UFOs, who knows aliens, and he said, not all this shit is alien. Not all this shit is, some of this shit is biblical. See, all that stuff is actually, for me, it cements my faith. You know, when we were kids, we were joking about like when people see these possessions, they get scared. And I'm just the flip side. I'm like, well, look, if that proves the devil exists, that means God exists. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Because my faith is in Him. And so all I'm saying is that when people see some things, it weakens their faith. Those exact same situations strengthens my faith. I'm like, oh, shit, cool, because I know the person that backs me makes me stronger. You know, that kind of thing. It doesn't kill my faith. It makes my faith like, okay, cool. I know where I'm going to bed. I know what I'm doing. I know this. And that's what people don't understand, is that you get scared when you find out a ghost, or when you see somebody possessed, or you see the cross bleeding. Okay, whatever. But when you have a known government agent telling you that this is demonic, that should make you think. That should make you real cautious.
That's a good point, though, that you said it doesn't make you afraid. It just makes your faith stronger. Because
you just proved the one side exists. So I know the other side exists.
But one person, a lot of people tend to go towards fear right away. Spiritual maturity would have you not be afraid right away. You know what I mean? So
I don't rolled over on the interstate in the car, and I prayed my way out of it. So once the hand of God,
so you was like Aunt Bunny falling down the stairs while using that car and shit. Oh Lord Jesus, help me, please, please.
Yes, Father Heaven, motherfucker, Father, please. I was cussing and praying at the same time, and I'm rolling over, and the change is hitting me in the face. My gun falls off the holster. All that stuff happened, and once I realized, like, okay, shit, I'm cool. I jumped out the car, got the hell off the interstate because I didn't want to get hit by a semi. But you have to experience the power of prayer for you not to be afraid of other stuff. For you, and I don't want to say like I'm agnostic or whatever it is that I needed proof, because I see proof everywhere. You know, I see proof birth. You know how hard it is to have a kid. I see proof when you see a flower bloom. I see when you see God in everything, then you're not searching for proof, but when your faith is like that, and I'm like, I know I'm about to die. You know, I've come to terms with it, but I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to stop praying. And I survived. You know, the first thing the cop said when I got out the car, he said, man, he saw the accident and came back to me because he was going the opposite direction of the interstate. And he was like, hey, you know, where's the guy that was in the truck? I said, that's me. He said, oh, I just knew there's going to be body parts strewn everywhere. I saw the car roll. You know, I'm like, thanks, bro. You know, were you trying to make me feel better? Your bedside manner sucks, my nigga. Yeah. For real. like is that what I'm paying for training for? I pay taxes, nigga. You were trained to say that? Fucking idiot. So yeah. So some things that would probably drive other people away, they cement my faith. I'm not going to go to the dark side because I see proof of the dark side, because that lets me know that the light is who I follow. My faith is someplace different. So yeah, of course, it cements our faith while it drives other people away, like makes them want to do evil shit and drink a
go outside in the middle of the winter time and it's cold as shit, and you're glad you have your jacket on or you have a nice warm coat.
Protection, yeah.
That's what your faith is. It's just like that coat on a horribly cold winter day. You know what? For people who can't relate to the cold, how about an umbrella? An umbrella that keeps you dry, or your head dry, while it is raining as cold. Listen, it rains cold as shit here in the wintertime, dude. And it just gets deep into your body. But if you got something to cover your head, you're good. Now, wet feet, cold wet feet are the worst in the world. But here's the thing, though.
Terrible feeling.
But when you are insulated from that, it's wonderful. It is a wonderful feeling. But see, faith, strong faith, is just like that. It is like this force field that protects you from everything.
when you have that strong faith, you know what you need, but you also know you have it already. Does that make sense? You're not some people are steady searching, and that's why I told you, like, I was proven of God's existence multiple times. Um, Look, I remember when dude explained what your guardian angel looks like, because your mom would talk about that kind of stuff. And then when you see your guardian angel, after people have told you what it looks like, and you kind of prepared for it, but you're not. I knew that was a warning, and sure enough, again, I almost died. With me and one of my best friends that passed a while back, and my ex, and we almost died. But they were like, "How come you knew?" I'm like, "Hey, I see my guardian angel. You ain't gonna believe this shit." I seen him this morning, and I knew that was a warning. I didn't know what I was looking for. I just knew that I needed to look.
What did you see? What did he look like? Was it Goku? Who was it?
Okay, so I had a professor, Dr. Evans. His mother and grandmother. His mother was into voodoo. Grandmother was into voodoo. Excuse me, and she said that you would see certain things. And
the white guy, the old white professor you was talking about?
No. You thinking of old boy?
I'm like, you just Cajun or some shit? Like,
no, not Dr. Kelly. No. But this is Dr. Evans. This was at Langston, and he was talking about, like, for instance, when his grandmother had died and they were making arrangements, a spider goes across the table and he goes to swat it. And he pulls his hand back, and the spider was gone. And his mother was like, "That's your grandmother." So he was talking about when you will see something that inexplicable, but you're going to know. So I was in my dorm at the time, and it was summertime, so everybody else went home. I'm literally broke, I still live in Omaha, but I'm going to school in Oklahoma. I didn't have the money to go back. I was, like I said, that's when I decided I'm not living in a dorm anymore. But I was in a dorm, and my best friend was from Denver, but his family was in Stillwater. But that's what I was doing. I was going, I was driving back to Omaha on the holidays. So I had no money. I had a job. So I'm sitting there, and out the corner of my eye, I see something go across the floor. It was almost like a sparkle gray thing zips across the floor. So I thought it was a mouse. So I look in the corner. I look back and forth in all the corners, and ain't no mouse. Ain't nothing in the room. And I'm like, but I saw it clearly, So whatever this was, this shiny thing zipped across my floor. And I'm like, there's no mouse in here. The dorms didn't have mice. The dorms didn't even have roaches. They didn't have them. So I'm like, I know I thought I saw a mouse, but I didn't. And so I look all through the corners. I look everywhere. There was nothing there. So I'm sitting there like, was that my guardian angel? I'm like, I know what it is. This is what Dr. Evans had just told me about the situation. That when you see your mom used to talk about guardian angel. I'm like, come on, man. So I'm like, if that's the case, they're warning me or something. And I'm like,
I didn't see a guardian angel, man, but I saw my mom in broad daylight after she passed away. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. I did see it one time. It was crazy. But it was it was a black dude, and he was walking around me while I was sleeping, talking shit.
But it was clear, though.
Listen, he had a fucking attitude. It was so fucking funny.
See, he probably was going to get off work.
No. But see, he was talking to me in a way that I would understand, and it would cut right to me. That's
good taste, yes.
Yeah, he spoke in a way that he talked like Richard Pryor. You know what I'm saying? So
Mudbone. You Mudbone to guardian angel, nigga.
Pretty much. But that's the way I would listen. Ah, fuck! I remember now. Yeah, man. It was listen. It was a crazy situation, and my mom had been she'd been dead about maybe 3 months. So this was the wintertime after she passed away. I remember now, and oh, crazy dude, and then I was blessed the next day. Oh, dude, it was a trip. It was a trip.
But you saw a person. Mine was not a person.
Mine was a person. Mine was a person. It was a black dude.
Mine was not. Mine was not. Mine was a shiny thing. I saw. It was clear, but it wasn't. It's like my eyes wouldn't focus on it.
It was crazy. He kind of sort of sounded like the dude from G versus E, the black dude from G versus E.
My mom went to school with that dude. Hey, I don't remember because he was on Law and Order, and
Yeah.
my mom like knew his real name and
What's
shit.
crazy, he was in that movie Shocker.
Oh,
Remember
hey,
Shocker about it?
yes.
It was, and the crazy part that was Agent Skinner. Yeah, it was the director Skinner from fucking the X Files was playing Shocker.
So he played the bad guy. Yeah,
He
yeah,
played
yeah.
the bad guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look, what I'm trying to tell people is that
And the black
something.
dude, the dude from G versus E, was the best friend of the white guy who was the main guy who was the director Peter Berg, who did a bunch of movies, Battleship and stuff.
Look, these things test your faith, and some people, if they don't get the answer they want, they back off or they don't believe anymore. Whatever. That's not how my faith works. I don't have always have expectations. Like I know that people have said they've seen this, that, and the other. So when I saw my guardian angel, and it's not a person, mine wasn't, but I knew that was a warning because I just had a professor, Dr. Evans, explain like, hey, sometimes your guardian angel is going to warn you. And so if I had not a seen, here's the crazy part. So me and my best friend Daddy at the time, my college buddy that passed, we were driving to Stillwater. That's where his family lived. Do you know there was a sinkhole in the asphalt that was like 6 foot wide, big enough for my car? That's the kind of shit we dealt with. So when somebody tells you that your guardian angel is going to be looking out for you, then the other time we went out there, it was me, him, and my ex-Mary flooded. So literally the bridge that we took to get back to Langston, it flooded. You could not, there was only one way back. It was literally 65 miles back the other way. And I didn't know the way. So we had to wait till the waters receded. Literally had to get a hotel, had to stay at his people's like almost a week for that water to go away. That's the kind of stuff I was just dealing with driving from Langston, Oklahoma to Stillwater, or Langston to Guthrie, or Langston to I used to live in Edmond. So when somebody tells you that there's a guardian angel, you're like, yeah, whatever. You see something that like, hey, it's clear, but it's not. You can't focus on it. And I'm like, that's what I just saw, and now I need to be on a watch. So you watch for that stuff. So like I told you, like when you got a government agent telling you like, hey, some of this shit ain't alien, some of this shit is demonic. Like you have articles about motherfuckers doing rituals in the 1950s in the desert, drumming up shit.
Now
Then
the
all of a
best
sudden
of
you
part
see
is they didn't close the door, and
you,
you're supposed to
you
close down the ceremony after
you're talking about
you.
L. Ron Hubbard. You're
Whenever
talking
you
about
have
Aleister
a
Crowley and these
ceremony like
motherfuckers.
that, you're supposed to close the portal and close down the ceremony. But they left it
So
open, and so that's what they're saying. All this skinwalker weird shit is coming through.
well, hold it. That's why it's kind of crazy when you have a motherfucker telling you shit is demonic because they said that the UFO sightings went up 85%, 300% after that shit was open. Because so this motherfucker right here is telling you some of that shit you seeing, it ain't what you think you seeing. You seen it, but it ain't it's not. Yeah, it ain't ETs. It's some fallen angel shit. It's some watcher shit. It's some other motherfuckers.
Okay, so there's pagan holidays, and there's holidays for like people who practice magic. Well, so there is the holiday of Beltane, and Beltane is the one that is close to the 1st of May. So Beltane marks the beginning of summer, and it is normally held on May the 1st, about halfway between the spring equinox and the summer solstice. Historically, it was widely observed in Ireland, Scotland, and the Isle of Man. And in Irish, the name for the festival day is La Bealtaine. While in the month of May, it's also Bealtaine in Scottish Gaelic. So it's mentioned in the earliest Irish literature and associated with the important events in Irish mythology. So it marked the beginning of the summer and was when cattle were driven out to the summer pastures. Rituals were performed to protect cattle and people and crops and encourage growth. Special bonfires were kindled whose flames and smoke and ashes were deemed to have protective powers. The power of the people and their cattle would walk around and between the bonfires and sometimes leap over the flames or the embers. All household fires would be doused and then relit from the Beltane bonfire. These gatherings would be accompanied by a feast, and some of the food and drink would be offered to doors, windows, and livestock would be decorated with the yellow Mary flower because they evoke fire. In parts of Ireland, people would make a May bush, typically a thorny bush or branch decorated with flowers, ribbons, bright shells, and rushlights. Holy wells were also visited, while Beltane was thought to bring beauty and maintain youthfulness. Many of these customs were part of May Day or Midsummer, like the movie, festivals in parts of Great Britain and Europe. Now, this goes back to Druidic practices. Now, some of the Druids were dark arts practitioners. Now, on Beltane, in Las Vegas, there was a UFO that landed in a backyard. What's crazy about this is how what you didn't hear about, all you heard was like these Mexican people had this UFO sighting in their backyard. The aliens got out of their craft. They walked around the rooftop. They tried to get into the front loader, heavy machinery, and start operating that. And then they jumped on the roof and they took off. What you didn't hear is that there was a craft spotted near Lake Mead that came out of this water. This maybe they're saying a portal under this water, under this lake. But when 2 years ago, before the rains came to the west this past spring and summer, this lake bed was like dry. It was like the water had gone down. You could see these ancient structures that came out of the bottom of this lake bed. And so they're saying that there was a civilization that existed that's maybe 6,000 to 5,000 years old that was in the bottom of this lake. Well, what is the bottom of this lake now? And they're saying that the aliens that showed up in these people's backyard came first out of this lake, took off, and then somehow crashed right there in that backyard or landed in that backyard. All of this happened on Beltane. Now, what's crazy is that the people inside the house were Christians, and they got together in a prayer circle, and they were praying to Jesus Christ. Now, there's reports that say this angered these aliens that were on the rooftop and in the backyard when they found out these people were inside the house praying. So then you have this pagan holiday, which, it's kind of like another version of Halloween where all these spirits come loose because there's like, on this day, Beltane, there's a portal that opens, and it's a portal to the underworld or to another reality. And so these spirits and like creatures come through. And then this ship or thing comes out, these aliens pop out, they land these people's homes, and then the people start, shouting out for JC, and that pissed them off because they were demonic. So that gives credence to what Luis Elizondo was saying about some of these crafts are demonic. He's not saying all of the aliens that you see in this solar system are demonic, no. Or galaxy are demonic, no. But he's saying some of them are, which is crazy. But it's weird how Beltane is tied into this because that's a day where a portal opens and these creatures come through from another reality. Weird, weird shit, dude. Yeah, how about them apples?
Yeah, no, it was just one of those things where, look, if you got this guy warning you that somebody sits demonic, you think that these aliens are just weird-looking people from another place. Come to find out, there might be some fallen angels, and you start praying because your faith is strong, and they start hissing and getting pissed. Hey, that's that skinwalker shit.
A lot to chew on, a lot to consider. You have people who come from different generations, who have different spiritual and mental attributes. You have these indigo children that are born in between the Gen X and the Gen Y. You have this Frito-Lay / Pringles shaped to this wave of our galaxy, And then you have this cosmic dust that's spreading throughout our galaxy, that's passing through planets and affecting everybody that lives on those planets on a spiritual and different way, and waking them up to all this bullshit's going on, which exposes why these dark arts practitioners want to fucking lock us down, because they're afraid to die, because they don't believe in the higher power, they believe in the lower power. There it is. That's all I got. We out. Peace.
Holla back.